The oil and gas industry, the home of innovation, cutting-edge technology, and the extraordinary people who make it all happen. Together, we're powering the world. Here are the stories of business builders who are leading the way in the energy sector. This is Zebra Marketing Solutions Oil and Gas Business Builders Podcast, where we explore the real experiences of today's leaders in business growth with key takeaways to start implementing right now in our own companies. And now here is your host, Laura Camrath.
All right. Hi, and welcome to the Oil and Gas Business Builders Podcast. Welcome, guest Dr. Amanda Rico.
Hey, great to be here.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How's it going, Laura?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for joining us on the show. I'm super excited to have you join us as a guest today to talk a little bit more about careers and resume building. We're in a very interesting and unique time right now, somewhat unprecedented in regards to events being canceled and our typical networking type situations where we can actually meet people have been limited. And I think career and, many people, especially in the current climate, are looking at potential insecurities in their current jobs. And also there have been, quite a few layoffs, which is certainly concerning to a lot of people. So I wanted to bring this discussion to you today and Dr. Amanda Rico, who can help us learn a little bit more about the types of things we can be doing right now in our careers and our businesses, networking wise, and how we can move forward in the current climate where some of our face-to-face interactions have been limited. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Dr. Amanda Rico. She specializes in resume building, editing, and career solutions for senior and executive level professionals. Through her business, Rico Editorial Services, Dr. Rico has generated materials and built profiles for TEDx speakers, healthcare executives, entrepreneurs, and energy and petroleum professionals. She has published in the Houston Business Journal and worked alongside public officials, career diplomats, and corporate executives such as Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner, Ambassador Kay Bailey Hutchison, Jeff Immelt, Jeff Shellebarger, and Jeff Miller. A member of Career Directors International, a first-tier internationally recognized resume certification organization, Dr. Rico is currently completing her Certified Advanced Resume Writer credential. Amanda earned her Ph.D. in English at Texas A&M University and her MA and BA in English from the University of Oklahoma. So that's really awesome. You went to A&M. Our last guest, Deji Adaye, was also A&M grad. And so we were talking with him about his experience at A&M. But very great bio. And
thanks. It's always weird to hear about yourself whenever you're like, oh, is that all?
Yeah. No, you've had some really great experience, and I'm excited to bring your knowledge to our listeners today. So tell us a little bit more. We're in some very unprecedented times right now. How can oil and gas job seekers pivot in this challenging market?
Yeah, this is a really good question, Laura, and it's something I've been dealing a lot with, not necessarily even only with clients. I mean, the majority of my clients are 90% E&P professionals, so I really specialize in oil and gas resume writing, but also just with friends. I mean, my husband is a senior drilling engineer. He pivoted from the upstream sector to midstream. So there's a lot of different challenges that people are dealing with right now and thinking through their transferable skills and how they can either stay in the industry and survive or get out of the industry and survive, right? So it's kind of like just a survival game either way. And really what's been working fairly well right now in terms of building professional materials to kind of transition out is to have one resume that's catered towards oil and gas and another resume that's catered toward a different industry that is the most targeted industry that you can transition to without having to do tons of intensive work or certifications or extra education. Right. I mean, a lot of clients that I speak to, they're saying, well, I don't even have a 4-year degree, or I don't even have my MBA, and this is really concerning to them, thinking through what type of job market they're going to be in. And while I completely sympathize and understand, I would really caution job seekers in the E&P industry to not necessarily think through, up and spending all of this money to get a new education. Instead, really focus on the core proven results and delivered results that you've already done, right? So, I mean, people who have 17 to 30 years of experience, which is the majority of people that I work with, you have tons of experience, tons of background, and many times in wearing a lot of different hats. Right. So someone who is an operations manager or supervisor, think through, okay, what types of positions might work for the upstream sector? Are they hiring in that sector? If they're not, is there a different sector that I could pivot to? Would there be any types of positions in downstream or midstream or offshore or all these different things? If not, could I shift to a different industry? Could I go to manufacturing or industrial? And this is really something that whenever I speak to clients, I really try to walk them through thinking through what types of things they've done that could transfer to a different industry. Like, for instance, I know that you're a geologist, right? Well, I've been working with quite a few geologists and geosteerers, geophysicists, and a lot of them are feeling really stuck right now because it's kind of niche to be a geologist. So we've been thinking through, okay, well, you guys tend to be really good at data analytics, right? And economic assessments, statistics, things like that. And so thinking through how those types of skills can transition to a job as a data analyst, a research analyst, things like that in a different industry. Now, of course, there are going to be different challenges that go along with that. You may need to get new certifications. You may need to get new software competencies. But compared to the price and the amount of time of getting an MBA or of going, back to school and spending thousands of dollars, if you can get these things online and somewhat quickly within, a couple of months or so, go that faster route. And that's really only if you are looking at job descriptions and you're consistently seeing things like Python or CAD or certain types of software competencies that you realize, okay, this is the route that I really want to go. This is what I need to do if I want to even be considered, going into this new industry. So be very calculated about how you're making that transition. Don't just rush into it. Don't just think through, okay, well, I don't have a job now, so I need to rush and, or not rush, but slow down and do a 4-year degree. Just weigh your options, really look at what those job descriptions are requesting of you, and use those job descriptions like a manual to really allow them to tell you this is what your next steps need to be. Because the more job descriptions you look at, the more you'll start to see a pattern, and you'll realize, okay, for a research analyst or a data analyst, these are the types of skills I have to have. Well, I have roughly 75% of those skills. Awesome. That's actually pretty good. That means I would probably be a good fit. But I need to add X, Y, Z. What would it take to add those skills? How much time? How much money? And think through if that's even a route you want to take, right? I mean, I'm seeing so many people right now in this unfortunate time just diving into new things without even really thinking if that's a route they want to take. And, again, I completely understand and sympathize. I have been there. I have taken jobs for free. I've, done those types of things. But I would caution you to think about how your time is being spent and really think through spending it wisely. If your time would be best spent networking with people in your industry because you have so much oil and gas experience, rather than trying to pivot out to a new industry that you have basically no experience in, just, kind of weigh your options in a way that would allow you to find success faster, more efficiently, and more cheaply, honestly. So many people are spending a lot of money right now
Yeah.
when they could be, spending their time differently. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's some really good advice, especially given, we don't know what the oil and gas industry is going to do. Nobody has a crystal ball, and I think it's just important for us all to be proactive and keep our focus open, looking for new opportunities, and really, like you said, just considering our options and looking at our experience and trying to find the closest fit, whether that be oil and gas or whether that be a new industry that we might have a skill set that is suited to that could be transferable.
Yeah.
And,
And
I think it's,
oil and gas, don't count
yeah,
it out. I mean, all the projections are coming in at, probably quarter 1 or 2 of 2021. And, I understand this is completely unprecedented and that there's going to be a flooded market for a while, but I mean, it will come back up. It's already at $40,
yeah,
a barrel. Like, we're not tanked completely anymore. So if you have tons of experience in oil and gas and that's where you want to stay, please just keep going and hold out, really.
yeah. And I also wanted to mention we had another guest on a couple episodes ago named Bellany DeShong, and she has a program around mindset and mindset coaching. And I think one of the most important things, in addition to really spending the time on your resume and your job search, is also looking at your mindset and not allowing yourself to fall into a trap of negative thinking or, allowing yourself to be a victim, and just really focusing on creating the future that you want, and looking at the possibilities instead of looking at the impossibilities of it.
Yeah, and a lot of the times this is easier said than done. I mean, I really will only talk about these things one-on-one with clients because when I say things like this, it's not actionable to a lot of people. A lot of people, they hear these things and they think, okay, but I'm stuck in this. I don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah.
So, that's what I like to do with a lot of my posts and things on LinkedIn is make sure that I'm giving people bite-sized, actionable things they can do at, at a really practical level. Your resume is a document. It's not some abstract concept of mindset. It's this document that you're going to use as a tool to get a job. LinkedIn is a tool that you can use to network. So I try to really base it in, tangible things.
Yeah, and that absolutely. I mean, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And, we're always saying just do what's next instead of just looking at how overwhelming this can be. Just do what's next. And, what's next may be watching one of Dr. Rico's videos or posts on LinkedIn and doing, taking one little step, and whatever that next step might be, just doing it one step at a time. So that being said, and talking about LinkedIn, what would you say? I mean, we've had a lot of our in-person interactions limited right now, which can make it really difficult for job search because we can't go out and meet people. So what would you say are some actionable solutions that professionals can use right now to network in this current virtual environment?
Yeah. Well, I'm not a representative for LinkedIn, but if you don't have premium already, you have to spend that $30 a month. You have to invest that $30 a month for premium, honestly. if you're serious about networking and about finding your next opportunity, LinkedIn is your #1 chance to make that happen. #1 on the top of your list. It should be completely priority 1 for you to get that lined up, because your profile, your LinkedIn profile, your ability to engage and connect with other people on LinkedIn will be the key to you finding a new position right now in this virtual world. So many people are on LinkedIn right now, people that I have never seen on LinkedIn, because now they're in a position where they're at home, they're not employed. And in many ways, this is, extremely frustrating, but it also creates a lot of opportunity for people to connect in ways that they wouldn't have been able to when they were so busy with their 8 to 5. And so, reaching out to people in a very customized, considerate way is one of the best things that I can say to do on LinkedIn. And one of the best ways to do this, so that you don't use up all those in-mail credits, is to, it's a little hack that I've figured out, that I'm sure some of you have figured out before, but whenever you go through and you scan people and you see that little connect button, well, instead of just clicking that connect button, go on their profile and hit customize invite. Okay, so that customize invite section, and Laura, I'm sure you already know this, that customize invite section gives you, I think, roughly 120 characters that you can use to introduce yourself and have just a very nice custom greeting, right?
Yeah.
So something that I'll use is to say, hi, insert name here. I hope you're doing well during this downturn. My best, Amanda. Super simple.
Yeah.
There's no pitch. There's no
Yeah.
weirdness. I'm not saying this is about me. I'm just saying, I hope you're doing well. Kind of this, we're all in this together, because you genuinely care about that person, right? You genuinely care if you're doing okay.
And I think that's a really good point too, is I think a lot of people don't really know what to say when they're connecting virtually on LinkedIn. But, what I always tell my clients is the purpose of LinkedIn is to start a conversation.
Yes.
When you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn, it's not about what you can get from them. It's about having a conversation and actually building a relationship with that person.
LinkedIn
So, yeah, and a good thing to think about is, rather than, you don't want to message them and say something like, hey, I'm looking for a job at your company. Do you know how I can get one? Or something like that,
I've had it so many times. People just reach out to me and it's just a barrage.
Yeah, and that kind of an approach can just turn people off. So, what I've always recommended is something that'll start a conversation, and that may be, in this case, letting them know I'm currently looking for a new position. Do you have any advice for me in my job search? I noticed that you worked at this company, or whatever that might be, but doing it in a way that they might respond with some advice, or they might be willing to help you in some way, and be interested in helping you.
And I would say, don't even launch into that in the first engagement. Don't
Right.
even say anything about wanting advice on their company. I'm cautioning as many people as I can right now to not dive into that. Everyone is so inundated with messages.
Mhm.
Everyone is so overwhelmed by the amount of content that's coming at them right now. There's webinars, posts, resources. People are hustling with, a full job and a side job, or 3 side jobs, or just be very, very careful, listeners. Be very careful about how you're approaching people. Again, it's that virtual handshake. Imagine you were in the middle of a room and you're at a networking event. Would you just walk up to someone and say, hey, I noticed you work for this company. Do you have a job there right now? No, you would come up, you would ask them about themselves, right? Just polite, right? You don't come up and be like, hi, I'm so-and-so. This is all about me. But I understand not everybody, many people are in positions right now where they're feeling frustrated, and they feel that they're on a time crunch. So they think that they need to reach out to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. And this is the way to do it. You just mass message people, but I guarantee you, people will not message you back. I don't care if you send out 5 or 105. They will not message you back. So take your time to curate, 10 solid, brief, customized messages to people, showing interest, showing a specialized, you know, interest in who they are. Actually look at their profile.
Yeah.
And that will reap so many more rewards, because the point of this is for you to build relationships, not just to get people tossing things at you.
Yeah. Yeah, and another pointer that I don't think a lot of people realize is that, on LinkedIn, you only have access to your first degree connections who are like your friends, your direct connections, and then second degree connections are like a friend of a friend.
Right.
And so you can message those people when you're connected to them as many times as you want, but there are limits on how many people you can contact who you're not connected to. And eventually you'll have to pay for what they call in-mails, which is like a private message to anyone that you don't know on LinkedIn.
Right.
So there is a hack though. When you join groups, you actually can message all the people in your group, whether you're connected to them or not. So looking for groups that are related to things that are relevant to the types of positions that you're looking for can be very helpful, because it can give you some extra access to people who might be aligned with those interests, who might be able to help you as well.
Extremely. And it's a one-stop shop rather than having to go through all these people and, customize your searches, to find people that might be in your similar industry and interest and, alum and, all this different stuff. So the groups are a great way. And most people, most groups will accept you right off. I mean, it's not a difficult process to get into many of these EMP groups. So be careful about certain EMP groups though that have scam job listings.
Yeah.
There are certain ones, just be cautious, I think, about some of those right now. I mean, this is really a time where people are tuning up the scams, because people are in vulnerable positions. So just be very careful about applying to things. If it looks off, if it asks you for personal information, especially your social security number, do not respond. Don't respond. I don't care how desperate you are. Don't respond.
Yeah. Good advice. Yeah, I think there's a lot of crazy, scammy stuff out there. It's just important to be careful. But for the most part, I think most of the things I've seen on LinkedIn are pretty legit, but it is always important to just be careful of that.
They slip in here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sneaky. They're sneaky right now.
Yeah. So thank you so much for all of your input. It's really been helpful, and I know this is some great content for a lot of our listeners who may be in the situation of starting a job search, or might be thinking about, uncertainty in their job right now. So I really appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us about this topic.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Laura.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I wanted to find out if you have a resource, like a book or some sort of resource to share with our listeners today.
You know what? I would really say it's kind of a silly resource, but it's helpful for anyone. Resume for Dummies. I order it. It's $12 on Amazon. It is actually by the president of the organization that I'm aligned with, Career Directors International. She actually wrote the book. It's extremely thorough. It's up to date. It has tons of resources that you can use, and you can just have it at your fingertips so that you're scanning through. It's the details, the headlines. It's very accessible. It's not difficult or dense. So anybody who's challenged or frustrated by trying to build their resume on their own, this is a really great resource.
Awesome. Excellent recommendation.
Yeah, I know. I always feel silly recommending it, but I mean, it's a great resource.
Yeah, I mean, I've read some of the For Dummies books, and honestly, sometimes you just need practical advice.
And you need something that's like the Cliff Notes version of what you're trying to do, because it's so overwhelming. If you could buy 20 different books on resumes, and some could be outdated, or some could be by people that don't necessarily, they don't necessarily have things in your industry. This is it has samples in it, samples of resumes for entry level, mid, executive. So, I mean, it gives you a whole holistic, kind of look at what a resume should look like right now. in
Awesome.
2020.
Awesome. Great advice. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you again, Dr. Rico, for being on the show. We really appreciate you sharing your insights and knowledge with us, and look forward to staying in touch.
Definitely.
And thank you again to all of the Oil and Gas Business Builders listeners. Thanks for listening to the show, and come back and check us out next time.
Thanks for listening to Zebra Marketing Solutions Oil and Gas Business Builders podcast. Join our Oil and Gas Business Builders groups on LinkedIn and Facebook, and see our videos on YouTube and on ogbbmedia.com. Visit zmsenergymarketing.com to learn more about how we can help you and your business design and implement a marketing strategy to retain and attract customers, grow revenues, and gain market share. Join us on the next episode for more great takeaways from business builders who are leading the way in the energy sector.